Hey there, thinkers! So welcome back to Critical Hit. My name is Est, and well, gather around because today we're diving into something that's so far outside of my wheelhouse. It's practically orbiting another planet. So let me start by saying I really couldn't care less about the messy fallout of someone else's failed marriage or their personal drama, because who really has the time, right? But then this headline came out and it just slapped me right across my face. It was like a shiny red button that said, hey, do not push this button. And I'm all like, hey, you know what? I'm here. And I just had to click it anyway. And now I just can't unsee it. So now neither can you. You're welcome. Now, let me be brutally honest. I already know this video is probably going to tank harder than a Disney live action remake. But here's the thing. I just don't care. Not one bit. Because this story, this headline, is just so absurd, so ridiculous, so mind-boggling to ignore. So yeah, so hold on to your panties because it's about to get weird. I have a few things to say here, but before I do, I have a small request. If you are new here, consider hitting that subscribe button, smashing that like, and ring the bell to be notified for our next video. We would greatly appreciate this, since this will help us appease those YouTube algorithm gods. So we thank you. Now, let me give you our thoughts on this, and let's get into this article from That Park Place. So, Jodie Turner-Smith, the Acolyte actress who seemed to have found her true calling in the art of canceling TV shows, has decided that $28,000 a month in alimony was just the ticket for her post-divorce lifestyle. So why, you ask? Well, because it's apparently so hard being a black woman in America. Yes, even if you're a Hollywood actress with a cushy bank account and red carpet privileges. So let's break this down. This isn't just your run-of-the-mill alimony request. No. She is demanding $28,000 a month plus some other goodies that she asked for from her ex. You know, because managing the lifestyle of a fabulous wealthy actress is just so exhausting. The struggle of sipping champagne in designer gowns and flying first class must really take its toll. And let's not forget the irony here. She's out here supposedly fighting the patriarchy or whatever, but also leaning on her ex to keep the dollars flowing. Like it's peak I want to have my cake and eat it too kind of energy. And while we're at it, can someone remind me what her actual career highlight is? Because outside of headlining a doomed Disney project, the resume isn't exactly overflowing with blockbusters. I mean, sure, let's just all pretend this isn't about milking her ex dry under the guise of societal hardship, because, you know, that's totally relatable for the average person scraping by, right? Jodie Turner-Smith, whose most notable achievement seems to be starring as Mother Anessa in the universally panned and swiftly cancelled Star Wars series The Acolyte. Well, she's taking her flair for the drama off screen and into the courtroom. She's currently locked in a divorce battle with Joshua Jackson. Yes, the same Joshua Jackson who stole the hearts as Pacey in Dawson's Creek and laced up his skates as part of the Mighty Ducks team. But instead of this split playing like a clean break, Turner-Smith is apparently auditioning for the role of most entitled ex-spouse of the year. So let's break this down, shall we? Turner-Smith is demanding an eye-watering $28,641 per month in alimony, as though her Acolyte residuals aren't covering enough. However, she's not stopping there. She's asking for an additional $8,543 a month in child support and wants her ex to cough up a staggering $250,000 in legal fees. Like her justification for these astronomical demands, she claims it's due to the challenges of being a black woman. Because clearly, the only way to overcome systematic inequalities is by draining your ex-husband dry. Now, let's not ignore the fact that these numbers are so absurd, they sound like monopoly money. This isn't just a case of asking for support, it's a full-on heist. And here's the kicker, if the court actually grants her these demands, it'll be yet another nail in the coffin of any semblance of fairness in the legal system. Because honestly, it's not hard to feel like this is less about justice and more about glaringly obvious power imbalance. Honestly, the legal system is already tilted so heavily in favor of the women that it's basically a seesaw with one person who is like standing in the air and the other is firmly planted on the ground. Like, men are left to pick up the tab even when the demands are so utterly ridiculous. If Turner-Smith manages to win this, it'll be less about challenges and more about setting a grotesque precedent that encourages weaponizing divorce for financial gain. But you know what? Hey, who's surprised, right? The system's been rigged for years, and this circus is just another performance proving that point. Turner-Smith, who is 37, is making headlines again claiming that she needs the alimony and legal fees because life is apparently so unbearable as a black woman and a single mother in Hollywood. Like, girl, come on. Just say single mother in Hollywood and spare us the lecture. The moment you start dragging race into this, it reeks like some performative nonsense that we've seen time and time again. And honestly, it's almost predictable. This is the same energy that people docked you for during the Acolyte, a DEI hire through and through, riding identity politics all the way to the bank. And speaking about said bank, isn't it wild how someone who is supposedly struggling is already making more money than most people will ever see in their lifetimes? Like, we're talking about someone who doesn't even need to deliver a flawless performance to get her checks. Yet she's still standing in court, hand out, asking her husband for over $30,000 a month. Like, for what? To take care of her child? Come on, let's be real. That amount of money isn't childcare. That's luxury living. And isn't it mind-blowing how someone who's supposedly so empowered, so successful, and so high profile is out here crying poverty when the reality is she's doing just fine. This isn't about survival, it's about greed, plain and simple. And the kicker, she's banking on the sympathy card while simultaneously flaunting the lifestyle most people couldn't even dream of. The audacity is unmatched. Oh, 100%, he should absolutely be taking care of his child. That's like the bare minimum. No one is questioning that. But $30,000 in alimony so she can feel safe as a black woman in Hollywood? Like, is that really a thing now? Like, how is that even a defense? We're supposed to believe that that's a valid reason to demand nearly 30 grand a month? And is somehow this is something she can just casually toss out in court like it's some grand hardship? Oh, you know how hard it is being a black woman in Hollywood. Is it though? Because the last time I checked, you guys are getting all the roles and the media loves to hype you up. So is it really that hard? I mean, I'm not saying like it's a walk in the park, of course not, but let's not act like you're struggling to get by. Like, come on. What are we really doing here? This feels like such a reach, even for Hollywood. Josh promised to always support me and ensure that I would not have to worry about financial security for our daughter, even if we were separated, because he understood how difficult life can be as a black woman and a single mother. Like, oh my god, I want you guys to understand something. She is asking for almost $100,000 a year in child support. $100,000 a year. Oh, absolutely. Let's just casually toss on nearly $30,000 a year in child support while she's already making that much, if not more, from her own job. Because, you know, why should self-sufficiency get in the way of a nice little paycheck from somebody else? And let's not even get started on the alimony, because who needs that when you're already raking it in? And honestly, at this point, what are we even doing? It's like she's trying to double dip in a pool that's already overflowing. Oh, you poor thing. Life is just so hard for her as a black woman and as a single mom in Hollywood. But, surprise, surprise, insiders close to Jackson are rolling their eyes at the ridiculously high demands that she's making. I mean, seriously, we're talking about a woman who was married for a whole 4 years. 4. And now she's out here with these sky-high financial expectations that people are just shaking their heads at. It's especially cringeworthy when you take into account her own income and career history. Like, she's no stranger to the spotlight. She has money. She's not some struggling newcomer trying to make ends meet. She's a well-established actress. And with the DEI fire still kinda burning, though it is puttering out slowly, she's in the perfect position to snag every role that comes her way. I mean, the roles are practically handed to her. Sure, the DEI push is losing momentum, but right now she is still swimming in opportunities, so why not capitalize on it, right? And if she's smart with her money, she's going to be set for life. All this talk about securing her future, yeah, that's exactly what's happening here. She's not just acting, she's acting to guarantee that paycheck for the next several decades. This isn't about survival, it's about building a financial fortress. And honestly, if you're playing the Hollywood game and trying to knock down a lifetime of supply of cash, then you're doing it wrong. Like, that's really the crux of it all. Securing the bag, making sure her future is set in stone, because let's face it, with her career and the way things are going, she's pretty much guaranteed to keep raking in the dough as long as she wants. Oh, and look, Jackson's living his best life post-split. According to his friends, he's walking around with a whole new swagger, looking all confident and thriving like he's been unleashed. Shocking, right? Turns out when you're stuck in a relationship where you're probably being held back for reasons we'll never know, things tend to go south. But hey, good for him. Oh, here we go again with Turner-Smith. Just when you think that she's out of things to blame for the Acolyte spectacular flop, she pulls another one out of her hat. This time, she's going off on Disney and Star Wars fans, like they're somehow responsible for the show's cancellation. And apparently, according to her, Disney failed to stand up for the rampant racism and misogyny from the fan base. Right, because it's definitely the fans' fault the show bombed. Sure, let's just completely ignore the mountain of evidence that points to the Acolyte failing due to the financial mismanagement, a bloated budget, and the fact that the audience just wasn't interested in it. But no, that's just too simple of an explanation. So let's just blame the viewers instead, because that's so much easier. And let's not even get started on how she's somehow trying to spin this into a personal crusade for sympathy and money. It's almost laughable how she's trying to wrangle out more cash out of her husband while she was clearly one of the high-priced individuals on a payroll for a show that went down in flames. The irony is off the charts. She's collecting a hefty paycheck for being a part of a failed project, but now she's out here crying about how it was everyone else's fault? Classic. So Turner-Smith went on an interview and threw Disney under the bus for not protecting actors of color, and somehow managed to blame Star Wars fans for not accepting diversity on screen. But let's be real here, because her comments got roasted by people who actually pointed out that the show's bloated budget and lackluster storytelling were the real killers. Now, the whole nobody wants people of color in Star Wars line, yeah, that's laughable. The Star Wars universe has some of the most beloved characters of color in existence. According to her logic, that makes those fans racist. Classic move from somebody who's out here grifting for attention and clout. She doesn't believe half the nonsense that she spouts, but she knows it will get her likes and the money and the headlines, so why stop? Oh, I can just picture the absolute nightmare of a marriage this must have been. 4 years? That's impressive for someone who can't even handle a single hiccup in public. Let alone the drama that must have unfolded behind closed doors. I mean, if she can't keep her cool when things don't go her way in front of an audience, imagine the chaos at home. I can only guess what it was like living with someone who expects the world to bend at her whim. And when reality doesn't comply, she goes into full meltdown mode. It's painfully obvious that she's used to things going exactly the way that she wants. And that's not a one-time thing. No, I think it's actually a repetitive pattern, over and over. She's likely worn everyone down, resorting to cheap attacks and ridiculous arguments in attempts to manipulate the situation, even when there was absolutely no foundation for what she was saying. It's almost comical how predictable it is. Throw out some emotional nonsense and hope something sticks, all while pretending like she's the victim in a situation she created. So yes, I just couldn't resist diving into it because, well, it's just too entertaining, and let's be real, it's kind of hilarious. I mean, who would have ever imagined that someone would sit there and say, hey, I deserve over $300,000 a month because, well, I'm a black woman. That's the reason they decided to throw it out there. Talk about reaching. If I was making a list of the most outrageous justifications for asking for that kind of cash, being a black woman definitely wouldn't even make the top 100. However, those are my thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And hey, before you go, subscribe to our channel, smash that like button, and ring the bell to be notified for our next video. As always, this is Est, and I'm signing off now. So I'll see you in the next one. Toodles!